Second straight All-American battle for Maddie Keys, and yet again, she gets the win. She's here, she's back on the desk, and I'm excited to see her. I will say this. I was so excited to meet Hailey and this run for her. I'm sure it's a little bit bittersweet. What did she bring out of you today? What did Hailey get to let you showcase in this match?
I knew going into this match that Hailey's a phenomenal tennis player. I truly think that she could be top 10. I think she's a fantastic tennis player. She serves really well. She has so many tangibles. She knows how to kind of mix up the pace and inject pace. So I knew that I was going to have to play really well today, especially returning. She's such a great serve, and I knew I wasn't going to get a ton of opportunities in her service game. So to really, when I did get the opportunities, really try to just capitalize on those.
And you did just that.
You've been making such a difference, I think, when just bouncing back when you have adversity. Down a break early in that second set, you're able to quickly bounce back. How have you been able to change that mentality coming into this tournament particularly? Because on clay, sometimes that can really get away from you.
I think, especially today, knowing as soon as I got broken, that first point of the next game I knew was really important, and I wanted to try to immediately get the break back because, like you said, it feels like it's an even bigger mountain to climb on clay sometimes when you're down that break. So really just kind of buckling down and staying as tough as I could early in that next game. Just even if I wasn't winning the points, at least trying to at least lengthen her service game to kind of make her think about it a little bit.
Get it to 30, get it to
exactly.
deuce. Yeah.
A little bit of pressure at least.
Maddie, it's been really fun to watch your movement on the clay. I spoke with Bjorn, this might have been back in Australia. We were talking about, obviously, the success you had leading into Aussie. This is before everything happened and you claimed your first Grand Slam title. But he made a statement and he said, personally, I feel that Maddie moves better on a clay court than she does even on hard courts. And when he said that, it seemed a bit shocking to me, just because I've seen you be so dominant on hard courts for a lot of times. But now I feel like I see what he's saying. How do you take that? Do you see that or feel as though you move a bit better on the clay because you have a bit more time and you naturally slide better? Or do you prefer to have that stable footing on a hard court?
I mean, I think I would say I'd rather be on a hard court most days, but I do feel pretty comfortable on the clay. I grew up in Florida. I spent a lot of time on green clay, so I learned how to slide at a pretty young age. So I've always felt pretty comfortable switching to clay and being on it. I also like having that little bit of extra time, and especially here when it's sunny and nice out, the ball kind of bounces up a little bit higher, and I feel like everything just kind of works a little bit easier for me. So I don't mind clay. I'm not going to say I love it.
Oh, come on. Look at the success of the Americans. What's going on?
If you win the tournament, then you'll say you love it.
No, at this
Still no.
At this point in my career, I'm just gonna we're on okay terms, but we'll never love each other.
Speaking of Bjorn, your coach, your husband, you guys have been crushing it. You've been crushing it. But as your husband, has there ever been a moment where he said something and you're like, I want to fire you, but you know what? I can't. You're my husband. Is he unfireable? That's what I want to know.
He's definitely unfireable, and I think he toes the line sometimes. But there's definitely times where he'll say something and I just glare at him and he just laughs because he knows.
He's like, you can't fire me.
Exactly. But as I'm sure you all know Bjorn quite well, he doesn't really hold back. He kind of says what he thinks, what he feels, and you kind of know what he's thinking kind of at all moments. Doesn't really have much of a filter. So in a lot of ways, that's great. Sometimes when, you're down in the third, it's not really what you want to hear, but sometimes it's what you need to hear.
If you ever need to fire him, it's almost like you need to bring in an outside consulting
A mediator out there. You've been the absolute American killer out here. Unfortunately and fortunately for you, you got Coco Gauff next. You have a better head-to-head against her. What makes you feel, because when I was playing against you, you were the young up-and-coming American of everyone was afraid of. Now you are the elder statesman. What makes you feel when you get that pride going against the other Americans? Because you've been facing younger foe after younger foe each and every time.
I feel like there's so many great young up-and-coming players that I'm definitely on the other side of the conversation now. But it's always hard, especially when you're playing when they're younger, and it's like, they're going to come out and they're going to play their best tennis, so you're going to have to raise your level as well. But it kind of comes with the territory. It was fun when I got to be the younger player.
It wasn't fun when you would be those times. That certainly was not fun at all. That was rude and mean.
It was,
You got to take care of your elders, everybody, and she did not.
Elders, it makes it sound like you're 80 years old.
I feel 80 years old, that's for sure.
It's always a tough position to be in, but it's also a really great thing to have so many Americans in the draw, and I just seem to keep running into all of them.
All of them.
Another area of your game that I think really shows itself pretty well on the clay is your ability to play with some margin. I know that's something you guys have been working on. I remember watching you pretty early on when I moved down to Orlando, and I got to see you just ball strike. And I'm like, man, she just pumps the ball so hard and through. Like, that's an ideal practice for me. I'd love to go out there and we could just strike and strike it nice and pure. But now we're seeing you kind of take a couple steps back and incorporate a little bit of height, a little bit of variety. Is that coming a bit more natural to you? Are you still having to think about it? Because I can attest as a player, it does take a little while for it to become a bit more natural to change up certain shots and the way that you go about certain balls. So at this point, with the confidence that you have of the year that you've had, that implementation of using variety, a little bit more shape, is that second nature now? Or are you still having to remind yourself, hey, don't get into this just ripping fest. Let's try to change it up some.
I think when I'm playing well and when you're out there and you're playing clear, I feel like that's when I'm kind of naturally knowing when to add shape, when to kind of inject pace, when to throw in the slice. I feel like, especially on clay, I have to be a little bit more mindful of it, just because if you hit a little too flat and a little too hard on clay and the ball doesn't really get through the court, you're taking
right
time
there.
away from yourself.
Yeah.
So that has been something, especially the swing, that I've had to be a little bit more mindful of. But I feel like the more matches I'm getting and kind of recognizing where I am in the court, if I need time, I've gotten better kind of as the matches have gone at knowing when to add a little bit more shape.
There's this uncertainty, I think, I would imagine, before you win a major. Your run at Australia, when I look at those names now, is a murderer's row. And it's more and more impressive when I see it. But I'm curious, what does having won a major change your mindset for when you're in your next major? Was there anything that maybe you learned that you didn't know before? Does it surprise you at all?
I think the biggest thing that I kind of take from Australia was, in the past I've been in a lot of quarterfinals, semifinals, I've been in a final before, and I felt like in really tight moments I kind of played a little bit too tentative, and I backed off and I kind of just wanted to, make the ball. And in Australia I was really challenging myself to just really go for it and not back down, just because I knew that's how I win matches. I win matches on my terms. So, being down big in moments and walking up to the line and knowing like, okay, I'm going to have to go for this serve, and I'm not going to be super comfortable doing it, but I'd so much rather miss it going my way than hitting something, just trying to make it, and then you walk up and you miss it and feel even worse. So I think the biggest thing is just almost challenging myself constantly to just make sure that even in the really tough, tight moments, I'm still going for it and I'm playing on my terms.
That sounds like a life-changing philosophy right there. Also, coming out new in bookstores soon. Madison Keys,
I was
just go for
notes.
it.
I feel like in your match against Kennan, going back 2 matches ago, you were down 3 match points. All 3 match points you went for it. That's what was the most impressive thing, honestly, you've done in this tournament thus far.
Yeah, I think walking up to the line, it was a little bit of a balance of, I want to make sure that I make her play the point. I don't want to give a free point away, but also I don't want to lay an egg to the middle of the court and let her hit a winner by me. So it was a little bit challenging, but yeah, those are kind of the moments that I think you can walk away with your head held high if you are doing things on your terms. And if they don't go your way that day, then too good.
And they are going her way. 3rd time now in the quarterfinals. Madison Keys moving on. Next up, Coco Gauff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.